develop. You guys are starting into developing ideas in mixed shapes, in forms, and whatnot. اما ما یک چیز چون میدیدان تمام چیای خوبی های دیزاین و پروسستان صحبت کرد و میخوایم چند نکته رو براتون متوجه بسازم کنم. اولی که ما هنوزم نمیفهمم what you want. Concept مثلا سارا جان use the two L's. Now those two elements, where is it coming from? Why those two L's interlocking one another? You need to explain. Number one is you need to give us your intention. What do you want to achieve with this building? When somebody comes around it, what do you want them to feel? Okay, so if you want it to be completely hidden, then you show that through your design. If you wanted to say, hey, I'm here, then show that through your design. Don't pick up elements like L's and whatnot, interlock them, and then make little, balconies on their void areas. There's got to be a meaning behind those shapes. Number two, how are you putting these windows where you're putting them? Especially when Najim John said that we don't know these places, these areas. How did you, in your bubble diagrams, how did you organize them? We haven't seen a bubble where from these two element L's that you have taken, how those bubbles kind of fit in and where are circulation, where are up and down, circulation, of course. So those are still not clear. Number two, some of these walls that I think it's the next where it's more developed. Yeah. Okay. So I see that you place windows in various facades. Where are those windows coming from? Are you just plocking them in wherever you feel? Like there are spaces, there are wall spaces that are going to be completely dark inside. I mean, I can see it. How are you using these spaces? There's got to be a system through how your windows make their way into your building, how you use the natural processes like wind and sun and all of that through your window. Maybe John was giving you guys a great idea of using wind catchers. Wind catchers, or kalas, we call it. I use it in my thesis. I just opened my book after, I don't know, 15 years or something, and I looked at all the research I've done. If you guys want a few photos of research, but it's all out there. I did the research the hard time. You guys can do it online. Wind catchers, water features. My whole process or design was based on using sustainability and using the Persian carpet or the Afghan rug and how it was symmetrical and how it was organized. Like those are the kind of inspirations that you need to start with. And then you can come up with these forms and shapes and whatnot, and then put your plan in motion. But for me, your process is wonderful. It's great that you guys are thinking. It's great that you guys are playing and sketching. Great, I love that. But you guys need to have an intention, and then you need to have an idea of what you want to create with this building, what emotion, okay? Think about that.
Well, sorry, go ahead. Okay. What I was going to say, this little project has created incredible encyclopedia of questions about the challenges. and these are all positive things that the students must take. They must have very positive discussion. And one thing that I found as a student in this process, I'm a student, is not to that much fit the architecture on the site, but how do you deal with a setback? Omonjon explained the idea of setback, its challenges. And Sorojan also said that in Kabul, you have to have a 1 meter setback. And when I listened to that, I went back uh, last week and last weekend actually and looked at it. I said, okay, let's look at it. Is there any solution? Could any solution be possible? So I have my drawings that I want to share, if you don't mind, everyone, unless there's some comments about this project, to see how that idea of the site conditions, which are really, I mean, to me, this area here that they have created is the most challenging part of the architecture in the site. How do you deal with it? What is that? Not just horizontally, but vertically as well. Now, in this one, and Mirangejon indicated, I have I noticed some interesting language of window to look out, bring fresh air in, or not to look out, or the corner window, which is a language that is very specific to architecture treatment, and that should be questioned. Where is it coming from? What is behind that? What do you want to do with that? So, if no one else has any question, because this is the only project that is being reviewed, I want to go to what I suggested, if possible. Do you guys mind if I show mine? No? Okay. Let me just minimize this.
Sir, can we answer to the questions before you show your project?
Sure,
Like,
sure. Go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
noted every question, so I want to answer.
Sure. Good. Good.
So the first question was from Professor Najim that asked where is the plan and also about the neighbors massing. First thing I want to say that we made three concepts and we were just focusing on the shape of the building, and when the concept is final, we will work on the plans, and also the windows will also change the placement of the windows. About the neighbors massing, I should draw my pen is like blue color here. این نمره که است residential house که اینجا من نشان میدیم این نمره چپ است. I'm not sure if it's working.
No, it's not, because I'm sharing. You're not sharing. Hello?
خب این نمره وقتی که استاد گفتن که ماسینگ همسایه نشان میدین نمره چپ است و نمره چپ از به این طرف 1 متر خواهد همسایه فاصله می داشته باشه و خود اصل ساختمان طرف این استریت که اینجا نشان دادیم طرف این طرف می باشه و باید یک فاصله تقریبا 8 متری در اونجا خالی باشه. بنان یک فاصله زیاد بین این قسمت تعمیر که ما گفتیم اینی ال شیپ که استاد گفتن شکل تاور داره با خانه همسایه فاصله زیاد داره این قسمت. به همین خاطر این مسئله مسینگ همسایه وقتی که when the concept is final we will also work on neighbors massing, and also we will show the باغ بالا, but now it's just we just worked on three concepts. The other question was from Professor Bashir. Why it's L-shaped? Because from the first day that we went to the site analyze, we chose this land. We combined two lands that made it look L-shaped. That's why our building is L-shaped and our plan is L-shaped. And it's difficult to understand. That's why we made it step by step, just to make it easy for everyone to understand the process of the work. And that it might be because of our not good designing good, like we can't emphasize the really exact things, our exact thoughts about the building, exact views, perspectives. That's why we try to make it step by step, just to make it easy for showing to everyone. And Sir Ms. Meherangiz asked what's the concept. The real thing, in previous week, we worked on concept. We tried to make objects concept. Everyone like said that this should not be a concept. So we still don't have the real meaning of the concept. First, we thought that concept should come from an object, and we should like make it a building. So the most obvious concept that we made here was the L shape of the land. We combined two L shapes, and the other thing that we can add to our buildings next time, because it's a women wellness center, we want to add like a colorful flowers in balconies and everywhere there. To give it a feminine era, and to show everyone from outside that it's a women wellness center. I know that the real concept is weak, but we tried our best. And someone asked, Sir Mahdi asked about, I think Sir Mahdi asked about the balconies that's above the neighbor's house. Right here, where I'm sitting right now, I can watch two neighbors that they have a large balcony in the third floor, and they can have a full view of the neighbor's yard. This is allowed in Afghanistan, and it's up to their own conscience to don't look at the neighbor's yard. And they should they should not look to the neighbor's yard. And when it's a women wellness center, everyone there are female, so I think the neighbors would not have any kind of special problems, and it's allowed in Afghanistan. And I see the obvious example here right in front of my eyes there. And so Mahdi said what inspired us this week. I should say that positive comments cannot inspire us as much as negative comments do. Like not negative comments. Like we were so sad that our design and concepts were so messy and like Disneyland and birthday cake. So we got the comments, and also when we went to Yalda's house, we sat together. I and Faiqa said the L shape. First, we drew our first cube L shaped. Then we decided that we should Faiqa should add cubes in the two sides of the L, and I will add cube at the middle side of the L. And we developed that concept and design. We work in two different ways, so make different concepts. And one last thing that I want to say is all professors that give comments on this concept, I really want to know their comments about the other concepts, so we can choose one concept and develop that and make plans and other things like neighbor massing and also everything else. Thank you.
Can I
Go ahead.
read
Go ahead.
Okay. No, I think, yeah, are you AFGHAN or Sarah?
Sarah. Sarah John.
Sarah John. I think your comments, I mean, the comments are for to improve it, obviously. This is how the concept can be developed. I heard, when I was looking at this L-shape concept, I heard a lot of your reasons, but one reason that I was expecting. It is the bridging concept, right? So if you look, if you say that, okay, this bridge in Kabul city, the idea is so powerful. We have Pule Khishti, we have Pule Sokhta, we have Pule this and Pule that, that connects the older part of the city to the newer part of the city. This interaction, this bridging, can be a powerful concept. If you develop around that idea, then we can say, wow, this is something from the region. This is something from the context. This is some idea that has been there, and you are exploring that and bringing this concept to show us you know, the relationship between the two. I mean, connecting the two. I mean, it gives it a lot of meaning. I don't know if you want to go through that and develop around that idea, the bridge. And it could be a very powerful concept. So this is what I mean. Something, some storyline, some narrative that you base your concept on, that comes from the region, that comes from the tradition, that comes from the architecture. Stories doesn't matter, narratives and things like that. It could give a lot of meaning to your project, your concept. But anyway,
Oh, thank you. That is really an exciting thing that you're talking about the bridge, which brought me to the next thinking while you were talking about that, which is really amazing, bridging horizontally one area to another. And then I realized that the building also is like a hinge at this corner. That's another thing that has a vertical connection. So this notion of horizontal and vertical connection, I think these girls can take this idea even further. It would be amazing. And what happens in those spaces? And I think your question is when you create a bridge or a hinge that takes it vertically and horizontally, those are the moments that the building shows some special things happening there. And they have to really define now what is happening in those places and the vertical connection and a horizontal connection. I think, Sarajan, I was listening to your comments. First of all, never apologize about your project, whether it's weak or this or that. Your project has nothing to do with weakness or strength. The project is we're talking about the appropriateness of issues about your building. And me personally, as a friend and as a teacher, must say I'm very excited about this solution because it opens the door for a whole bunch of other issues that makes your building stronger. Like Professor Bashir was talking about the bridging one side to another side. You're really celebrating the space by bringing the two sides together. What happens? Now we have to start questioning what happens to those spaces. And I'm really happy to take it to the next level with you guys. I'm happy with this one. The other two are similar. I don't know what the rest think. The other two projects are similar, but it's a bit too, again, too much, too many elements, unnecessary elements applied to the building. I wouldn't use it. This one has some merits, but it's pretty much close to your second project. So that is my reaction. If this,
استاد استاد مهدی
sure,
استاد آزادزوی نیستن در میتینگ به خاطر ازی که اینترنتشون due to this weather, cold weather قطع شده و ما هم باید برم در میتینگ دیگه. فقط اینه میخواستم بگم good luck
تشکر.
همراه شاگردا. خداحافظ.
تشکر جانم. تشکر. Thanks. It's okay. We can continue. I guess as I say that this is the only project that is reviewed now, and I would like to go to show mine, which is strange, similar issues that I was struggling with, how to design a space in this in this lot. And then after that, we can say goodnight because I'm sure it's going to get late for the students. If that's okay with everyone?
Yes, of course.
Good. All right. What I was hoping that the students, and I send this to most of the students, try to identify areas of the building. What could potentially happen? Massing the zones, basically, starting with the raw information of the zones. And also knowing about the setback. The brown indicates the setback, which is really an important issue, that how to deal with it. And I think one of the opportunity that I saw that was I questioned myself. I said, is this building supposed to be introverted or extroverted? Whether the building should look inside and experience the life or look outside. And then I realized it's really both. It's not just looking inside, but it's also looking outside. And also going back to what Bashirjan was talking about, the bridging, and that was also an incredible opportunity to how to connect these masses from one place to another place, because you don't go from a space to space. You want to experience to go from inside space to the outside space, back to the inside space, to really enjoy the journey going from one place to another. So this is pretty much what I came up with, and I'm going to show you a SketchUp version that indicates the three-dimensionality of this building. If I can open it, there we go. Um, in this scenario, I use that idea of bridging, creating, but at the same time, creating a space, gardens, to look inside rather than outside, and then allowing the building, the inside of the building, to breathe in terms of the air and the sun and the energy to come in and go, but at the same time, make sure that the neighbor is protected as much as you're protected. So this idea of so-called introverted architecture might be a solution. It might be a solution. So what happens is that the entrance is here, as the girl suggested. The entrance is here. You come through these doors, and there's a reception area, and above it will be the administration, and then go through into this interior garden that is protected by the two-side neighbor that they cannot see because of these screens that potentially could envelope the building from the sides, and then go walking through this bridge from the ground level to the next building, using this 1 meter setback as a walkway, and engaging the garden through it. So the ground level, the garden really extends all the way from wall to wall. So it doesn't really become a sort of a dark alley. It becomes a more experiential space. And then once you're on this side would be more of educational, this zone, more of educational and exercise. And the second floor, you can come out in this another garden, or walk to the top of this prayer room, what we call, they were talking about creating a little prayer room or a mosque. I don't call it a mosque because it's just a space. And above it would be a contemplation or place that they can sit and enjoy. But I think I really like, even though the space is small, even the space is really small. If you can see, it's only 8 meter across here, and here 13 meter. And I think that might allow a larger garden here and a smaller garden here on the ground level where the prayer room is. But the above the exercise room or educational zone, you can have a second floor garden, the roof garden. So it ties up spaces vertically and horizontally. So that was my take on this project, which is pretty much similar to what I hadn't really seen their final, Sarah's group final. But this idea of we're talking about how do you engage or disengage to your neighbor. Right now, as you walk through this bridge across, you sort of see a visually on the second floor across, but the wall be thicker, and depending on what kind of almost like a screen, almost a screen that you can allow the light and the air to come through, but visually you cannot see directly. You might see it in angle, just a little glimpse of your neighbor. And that's how I think students should start thinking about how to not to avoid the visual connection to that site, but also create a sense of privacy to your neighbor and to yourself. And of course, as you move forward, the ground level you can see here is much more open from the lower floor. You can see from these glass windows, or they can walk out in the garden and do exercise or whatever that they may have to do. Down here, the way I suggested was to have a reception that you come in right from the street, and the reception is door is setting in, so it creates a sort of a transitional space of 1 meter from outside to step up and go to the building inside. So this was sort of a rudimentary idea that I was working on, and I kind of enjoyed um,
Uh,
the
yeah.
SketchUp. Was pretty.
Me, Dijon and I play around with SketchUp a lot too. I should share my stuff. But one interesting idea I have with your scheme that you have done here is that, do you know that this envelope that you have, that the two sort of like walls that are coming, that are, why can't that be the line of the windows that are coming, like enveloping in the same kind of shapes, but bringing light? I don't know. These are just ideas to play around with, I guess.
I think the
There are a
student,
lot of potential.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I was explaining the other day to students. They shouldn't really be afraid of exploring. They should use any media. First, I sketched it, and then I said, okay, the idea here was the idea of pre-design was to really understand the nuts and bolts of the project. What are the spaces? What are the zones? How are they related? And the only way you can do that is to create some kind of a bubble diagram to understand the relationship, why they're related. It's not just spatial relationship. There are other relationships, factors involved, like mechanical and visual connections and air and this and that. But I guess the students have to really explore. And one of the things that I found out about Sarah's second project, this notion of bridging, Bashajan was talking about, and the hinge of the building, or the two pieces come together, are the most incredible ideas. And they have to really make sure that how they develop that now. I think it would be an amazing project. Going back to what comments that Najim John indicated about floor plans, and I think he's right. I think Sarajan and Yellow John, if you listen from now, from here on, I think you should start embarking on dividing what spaces exist in these two floors and how they're connected horizontally. The bridge, that bridge is really amazing, and vertically, and if there's any connection between them, and what's the reasoning of connection.
Or perhaps that bridging concept, that one end where the two elements kind of meet, could
Yeah,
be that space that both from one wing to another, they share that space or circulation, or uh, think about those kind of things in the context of the L that you guys came up with. So
yeah,
search into the bridging concept and see if you can come up with another, uh, using the bridging idea, but another sort of like whatever that is more close to you, or the philosophies that you stand for.
yeah,
Bridge those two things together. I don't know. I mean, explore it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, any other suggestions? And I think we are getting close. Oh, yes. Go ahead, Sarah.
So sorry, we should develop the idea of these two L's, and we should work on that. Is it approved now?
Well, okay. Now, that's a very tough question, and I'm going to answer my own personal, and I'm going to be quite straightforward and brutal. I'm going to drop it back to your lap and say, what do you think?
Uh,
You got to make at some point in your life, you have to make a decision. You're second, you're not first year, you're second and third year. And I trust and respect your judgment as a teacher. and you have to now search in your own soul to say, sit with each other and say, you heard all these arguments, these suggestions. You don't have to make me happy. You don't have to make Tubojan or Merengues John happy. You just have to listen to comments, ideas, and you have to judge that. You have to balance, create a balance that works for your project, that your heart is really into it. I respect you guys for what you did, and I am absolutely amazed where you came from and that journey of coming from very abstract. And I know you're still struggling with this notion of how to create a concept. Concept is a very abstract terminology for all of us. I still, for me, concept is huge and then also is small. I could sit and create an idea in a second, probably, because I'm thinking about something else that helped me to create that idea. Or it would take me years to do it. And I'm sure it took Najim John years to create that beautiful American University of Afghanistan. It wasn't just one day. He probably talked to other people, to people who worked for him. He probably talked to his family, talked to his friends. And that is how ideas start merging. But in terms of which one you should use, you make that decision. What do you think? Because you're not here to make me happy or Bashir happy or anybody happy. You have to make yourself happy about your ideas. That's my take. Yes,
You just have to convince
And-
us. You just
Yes.
have to convince us of your design and of your
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
But we're also waiting for other comments if you email to Yelda or other things. We'll consider that later. And the thing that I got from this presentation, that everyone loved the bridging concept that Faiqa wanted to do it in one of her concepts, but I think we didn't have enough time. She mentioned that, and I'm really happy that everyone liked that idea. We will consider that, and I want just to play with that L shapes and make a good concept that provide a good area and privacy and other things that everyone sees. Thank
But
you,
Sarah John,
Professor.
did you understand? Did you understand the question? Sorry, Tubajon. Did you understand? I just want to emphasize that what Bashir John explained, that was a hint about your project. You have to sit down now and reflect on that. You have to talk to your friends. Say, what do you mean, bridge? He's talking about, I remember that bridge on Kabul River, Larzanak. There was one called the Larzanak, Bridge Larzanak.
Pule Larzanak.
Pule Larzanak. Pule Larzanak. So when you talk about concept, this is what the concept starts emerging. I know it's challenging to relate it to architecture, but bridge is an architecture. It's just a pull. You go from one side to another side. But I think you probably didn't realize this idea of bridging, and I'm glad, and I don't blame you because you're still a student. But Shirjan's life, I don't know how old he is. He spent his entire life studying and teaching architecture, so for him it's natural. It comes out. He can see it. As an expert, you can see it, pinpoint that what is the potential. And I want you girls to sit down and start learning how to recognize that potential. Okay? Sorry to go ahead.
Yes,
Oh.
thank you. If I may add, I'm also for these two L shape putting together from the very beginning. It was interesting to me. And another thing, I would rather take some space from the building and add it toward the entrance, so make it a little wider and open. And the last thing, I like the way she defended and answered the questions, and she went back and said, "This was for that reason. This was for that reason." I really commend that. And as Bashir John said, you always have to stand firm and don't apologize and stand firm. This is for this, and I did it for this reason. And I really, really appreciate the way you approached and the way you defended your work. Bravo.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Najim John, I know you went to for a meeting or something.